Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 422. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
Also a cheerleader today. I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me a Les. Today is Tuesday, January the 8th, 2019. Apparently I've been saying the wrong year several times. Like, people leave comments on our YouTube. It'll be like, 2015? What the heck? Sorry.
That's amazing.
Like, that, yeah, sorry. It's almost always evening when we record, so...
And the more tired we are, like, I'm extremely tired today because Pearl decided invisible possums were attacking the house at 1 a.m. and they did not stop attacking the house till 4 a.m.
So that gave Mom about half an hour of sleep.
So that was amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, things like my super dyslexic tendencies tend to get so much more fun when I'm tired.
Yeah.
Anyway... Y'all are here for the knitting, right?
Usually.
Is that what we're here for?
That's what we advertise ourselves as, anyway.
I am working. I'm just going.
Go for it.
I'm
ripping back, so.
I am knitting on a pair of socks. They are going to be Wendy Knits toe-up socks with a gusset. And if you are looking for a good toe-up sock pattern, Wendy Knits wrote a book. And the socks in it are actually the only pattern socks, really, that I've ever knit.
It's like socks for everybody or something?
Yeah. She wrote 3 socks. There was, like, socks, I don't know, it's got a white cover, the one that I'm thinking of. And I've almost knit every single pair in that book. I think I'm missing, like, 4 that I haven't knit. But it's a really good book. And she also has free numbers on her website, which is wendyknits.net, so that you can do toe-up socks with a gusset for any stitch count, essentially. So I use that quite a bit. It's saved on my phone. And these are going to be toe-up socks with a gusset. Probably for Mama Linneman, because we have not celebrated Christmas in my household yet with my parents.
Oh, okay.
So, like, therefore, it's still the Christmas season. Christmas is apparently never ending, but it will at February 14th when they come for a visit. So this is going to be part of her Christmas present, I think. Wheezy, don't tell her when you watch this.
During your PT.
My father's been watching the Knit Girls during his physical therapy. It's cracking me up. But he won't watch to the knitting. He only watches the beginning to see what we talk about.
Really?
Because he told me he doesn't care about the knitting. So, there you go.
Okay, well, takes all kinds.
So, these are out of Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. It's a colorway from Desert Vista Dye Works. I think I'm like 99% sure that I put in the inspiration picture. And so when you put in an inspiration picture, and if she selects it, then you get a free skein of the yarn. So I know for certain I did Calvin and Hobbes, and I think this is one of the other ones that I did. So awesome. These are being knit on size 0s, and they are 64 stitches around. And I'm just zipping right along. And they're living in my fabulous unicorn bag, because the unicorns are fabulous, from Amy Beth, Fat Squirrel Fibers. So that is the first thing on my needles. Boom. The second thing on my, and I'm using Addy Turbos for that. The second thing on my needles will be Evenstar. So this is a chicken boots bag, and she's going out of business, which makes me super sad. So I love her bags.
She's changing what she focuses on. She's doing more, she's switching to So Live, or Sew It Live. I can't remember which one it is. She does live sew-alongs on YouTube and tutorials and other stuff, and that's sort of where her passion is, so she's closing down. Like, it's a controlled thing. It's,
yeah. It's her choice.
Yeah.
It's a changing of focus versus saying goodbye. But we'll get to meet her at Madrona, which I'm super excited about. Alright, so I'm knitting the Evenstar. If you're new to the show, this has been going on for around 2 years.
It's gotten put down for long periods of time.
So this calls for 1,500 yards of lace weight yarn, and it also calls for 3,000 size 8 seed beads. And I'm knitting it on size 3, which is what the pattern called for. The yarn that I'm using is actually hand spun, so I'm going to talk real brief about...
And it was hand spun for this.
It was hand spun with a purpose. So I want to talk really briefly about how I did that. So this was spun from merino, I believe. And when I spun my singles very thin, and I spun it worsted. So I knocked all the air out of it because I wanted it to be a strong lace weight, because it's going to have to deal with beads. But one of the things that I knew is I was knitting lace with it, so I wanted it to be a 2-ply, not only to get it to that lace weight, but because 2-plies it's kind of like this. It kind of creates that football shape. It's the actual name of that shape. It's not circle. It's
like oblong.
Oblong.
Mm-hmm.
Creates an oblong shape, and for lace, that means that your yarn overs are more open. So if you're doing intricate lace, you want to probably use a 2-ply because it opens up your yarn overs.
What about a 3-ply?
A 3-ply is round, so it's going to close them. So if you were to knit the same pattern in a 3-ply versus a 2-ply, your yarn overs would look smaller.
I think you should spin up a 3-ply lace weight and knit an Evenstar with it.
I do have samples in lace of 3-ply,
really?
2-ply, and single-ply. I should bring those sometime.
That'd be fun.
Because I use that with my
picking a yarn
choice class. So when I spun this, I specifically spun up 2-ply. But what I also did was when I plied it, I didn't add a lot of twist. Because,
which is unusual for Laura.
Because I am very much into the twist. So what that means is twist will also close holes. The more twist you have, the more energy it has, and that also has a tendency to close holes in lace. So I wanted those holes to be nice and open. So I created during the plying, where it wouldn't have a ton of twist. Does that make sense as well? So that was the thought process when I spun this yarn. And I think I ended up with around 1,700 yards. I still have some of the fiber left over. That was from around 10 ounces of fiber. So I wanted something, and it's not consistent throughout. It is hand spun, so sometimes it's a little bit thicker, sometimes it's a little bit thinner, but I did want something that was consistent. If I was to do it again, one change that I would make is I would wind my singles off onto bobbins and kind of mix those up a little bit, because as I'm knitting, I'm going to talk about beads in a second too. So much to talk about. It's striping a little bit because of the hand spun. Can y'all see the So you can kind of see that it's striping a little bit, which doesn't bother me. I think it'll look fine. But if I had blended those a little bit better and wound them off, first off, I would have a more standardized yarn throughout, but I wouldn't have that striping.
But when you spun it, did you spun?
I spun using the mini spinner.
But you spun
on the
half of it on one bobbin and half on another.
Yep.
So you would have had to break it up.
Oh yeah, I would have broken it up and then just put it back together in the plying.
Okay.
Because you can do that. I have pearl hair all over this.
And it's on my floor now because you can see.
Yeah. Well, your floor needed it. It was feeling lonely. Anyway. So, just some things to think about. I did buy some new beads for this because I wanted something a little bit more shiny. So, I got these from Fusion Beads. They had a huge sale. So, these are going to be super shiny. And these are size 8 beads. And I have 20 more rows.
Until the edging.
Until the edging. So.
And then once she gets to the edging, she has to do 3 repeats per day. To stay on her.
I have to do 21. So right now I have to do 10 rows a week in order to finish this in time. But once I hit the edging, I have to do 21 repeats
a week. Okay.
Yeah, because like 3 repeats equal around 1%.
I told Laura that once I got to the edging, that was when I kind of wanted to die. Just because you're constantly flipping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and putting the beads on. And I feel like the beads go on the wrong row. Like on
I feel like they do.
Row.
Some people place them on the right side and just slip them on.
Yeah. I can't remember. It's been a while since I knit it, but I mean, don't get me wrong. It turns out absolutely gorgeous, and it's totally worth it. But
I have 2 more times the stitch markers move, and then that nonsense will be done.
That is a positive,
is like been super annoying because the last 8 rows, I think, the stitch markers have been moving every other row, and that's really annoying.
So last week when you showed this, you were getting close to that very last arch.
Last time when I showed it, I was right there, and I've gotten like
Here, let me hold it, and then you can show them where you were.
I just closed that first arch, and now I'm there. I've gotten 10 rows done. So last time I was right there. I just closed the first arch, and now I'm here.
Cool.
Yeah. So I got 10 rows done.
Last time I held up somebody else's Evenstar.
It came off the needles.
Yeah, so Laura's like...
Yeah, that's why I was just like, this is making me a little bit anxious. But I did put my stitch stopper on there so that nothing's going anywhere. And I've been tightening my needles every single round because I did drop... I was talking to Amy Florence on Skype. Was it New Year's Day? A couple days after Christmas. And I just picked it back up to try to get to like 55% so I could use it. And these are the signature convertibles, and one of them, as I was talking to her, completely came unscrewed, and I lost around 100 stitches in every row pattern, but I was able to pick them all up and fix it.
Hey, you're knitting them on a size 3.
I am.
I knit mine on a size 3 too.
I know.
That's the only pattern probably that we've knit on the same needles in a while.
They should be about the same size probably. Well, no, mine might be, I don't know.
I can't remember.
I swatched. And when I actually swatched for this and put beads on my swatch, but then I changed my mind about those beads.
But they're the same, like, weight and everything.
Yeah.
So.
But when I swatched, it looked good on the 3. It didn't look, like, too thin. So that's why I opted to go with that. The last thing on my needles, also in a chicken boots bag, is that. It seems so long.
It does. It looks like a cowl.
Yeah, it's on the decreases. I might work on this a little bit. This is the something German Oktoberfest hat, and I'm knitting it on size 4 needles. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It calls for 5s, and I'm using some hand spun for my stash. I feel like this is Southern Cross.
It looks like a Southern Cross.
It does, doesn't it? And so I've gotten to the decreases, which happen every 3 rows. There's some decreases. So I do those until it gets down to 14 stitches per needle. And then I start decreasing like every other row and pattern, I think. I don't know, it's on my phone. It's not like, it's a free pattern, so I'm not expecting like super well written. But if you are someone who's like, I want every round of a decrease written out, this is not a good pattern for you because it's just like basically decrease in pattern. So that might be a little bit of a struggle for some people.
If you are a beginner knitter of any specific thing, I encourage you to check out Tin Can Knits.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
They have a whole series of like basic well-written garments in practically every size imaginable.
Yeah, so I'm going to work on this, I think, for a while, and I'd like to get this done. This is for me, and it's super slouchy. So it's like 9 inches before the decreases, and I think the decreases are going to take up like another 3 inches. So it's going to have a fit similar to a sock head hat. It does have a pattern like that broken thermal rib, basically. So it does have a pattern to it, but it's not been a super quick knit, but it's been a fairly enjoyable knit. And I knit in the round on 16-inch circulars using Addy turbos, and now I'm using Zings for the top, for the crown, because that's what I have in double points. I don't have any size 4 signature double points. It's very sad. But those things are working quite well. They're a lot duller than the signatures, but I don't need anything super sharp to do hat decreases in this pattern at any rate. I'm very happy for the signatures, though, on the Evenstar, because there's a stitch where you are increasing 7 as you're decreasing 3, so you're knitting front and back to create 7 stitches
while you're doing
knit 3 together. Yeah. And you do it twice, I think, in the whole pattern. Yeah. And I did it once, and then I got to it this time, and I was like, I have no freaking clue what this means. So it took me like a good 20 minutes to figure out what I was going to do. And I ended up doing knit into the 3-stitch decrease and then yarn over. And then knit back into the 3-stitch decrease and yarn over. Knit into the 3-stitch decrease, yarn over, knit into the 3-stitch decrease. She gives you like 4 options of how you can do it. And that yarn over made
versus the front and back.
Yeah, because... it could be all the stitches in the world, and that front and back 6 times was not going to happen. 7 times, actually. So, it's interesting. Evenstar isn't complicated. I figured out that I can do like 4 rows a day on days that I'm off work, and that's it. Like, that is my max. So I do need to get a couple rows done during the week. Because 4 rows... Well, and that was when they were like every pattern rows was like max spring capacity.
Are you back into the rest rows?
I just got, like, the row that I'm on right now is the first knit all around rest row. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because I was done.
Susan Pandorf is a devious one.
Like, her brain is amazing, though, to come up with some of these stitch. Like, I would never have thought of that as like a cluster stitch pattern. That's incredible. So, you know, as you do. Hey, I am off, and I'm not quite certain how that happened. So I'm going to let you talk on
okay.
I'm done with what I'm knitting on.
Cool. So, I'm knitting on a hat out of, I forget what this is called. Cloudborn, I think? Yeah. Cloudborn Fibers.
Yeah, that's Craftsies.
Yeah,
in-house.
They had a sale. It was like $7 for 200 yards of a worsted.
I believe that's hand-dyed by Lorna's Laces.
It is. And it says that on it. It's superwash merino, and it's hand-dyed by Lorna's Laces. And this one is the Carico Lake colorway. And this is what's left of it at the moment. But
it's a cute colorway.
This is an off-grid pattern, and it's a plucky pattern. It was in one of her collections, I think. And it's alternating stacked rows of knits and purls. And I'm about to start the decreases. I had actually knit the decreases, but I changed them because I thought I knew better, and it didn't quite work out with the pattern. So I'm going back and doing it the way that the pattern actually said to do it.
Always a good plan.
But
that's a little slouchy too.
Yeah, it'll be cute.
I think it's gonna be super cute. I think your sister-in-law will appreciate it.
Yeah, it's nice and smooth, and it can go in the washer and dryer. So,
all important things to think about when you gift for others.
So, yeah, this will be done whenever I switch to needles small enough to actually decrease for the crown.
You're using some different needles there.
Well, these are the Smart Sticks.
Okay.
These are the
Jimmy Beans?
Jimmy Bean Smart Sticks. I think this is a 9. It's either an 8 or a 9. And
is that the interchangeable?
This is the fixed. I want to say 16 inches, maybe.
Cool.
Something like that. So that's the first thing that I'm working on. I'm still working on the socks out of the Knit Spin Farm, but I haven't worked on them all week, so there's no point in showing them to you because I've literally not did a single stitch on them. But I did start a project that I've been procrastinating about starting. I had actually started it last week and even put it in the show notes and I forgot to show you guys.
Oh.
So this is wrought iron.
Oh yeah, you totally did. I've seen this several times, but y'all have not.
This is a pattern by Anna Yeah, Anna Johanna. And I'm sort of doing an informal knit along with that Ash girl, who's one of the lovely folks.
I like the garter stitch on the lace on that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about it, but I've started the lace. And so this is Intarsia in the round. That's how it's advertised. It's only in the round in the sense that it will be knit on a circular needle. Intarsia can't truly be in the round. At least not like this with two colors, because every time you took your color, your lace color from here to here, and then went around, you'd need another strand of the lace to go from here to here again. So you're going back and forth.
Yeah,
and back
there's
and
a turn
forth.
point.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but that's once everything's joined. I'm not there yet. So right now it's Intarsia flat, and it's a little frustrating. Only because before Sadie of Knitter's Nightmare closed up shop to, have a baby.
Yeah. Which she had. So congratulations, Sadie
baby
and
Linus, who is a lovely little munchkin. She dyed me. I wanted one giant skein of a solid and then an alternating color. So these are my two colors.
Which are gorgeous. I love that.
This is Seascapes. I can't remember what this gray is. But it's just a kettle dyed, semi-solid, mostly solid gray.
Yeah, which is the best kind of gray.
And I'm knitting it from the outside and the inside right now which is a pain in the butt because every few rows I have to untwist it. But I'm doing that because only at this point. So let me explain how the construction on this has worked so far.
You do some interesting construction.
Well, I didn't quite know it was going to be this interesting when I started it, but all the patterns do say read this pattern all the way through before you start. I never do that.
That looks like it's the sleeves. Is this the sleeve cap?
This is the shoulder.
Okay.
So the way that this is knit, my arm took it down, is you knit one side first, and then you knit a few rows of this alternating lace so you can start that scoop neck. And then you knit the other side until it's at the same point, and then you cast on the stitches in the contrasting color, and then you add the stitches from here. So right now it's back and forth until it gets to about 7.5, 8 inches. I'm about an inch away from that point. And then you'll pick up, she has you do a provisional cast on. I used Judy's Magic Cast On because that was a brilliant tip that Laura got that I totally stole. So then you pick up from the back, from those provisional stitches that you cast on, and you knit down the same length, and then you join them under the arms. And then it's around, back and forth. But only at this point, where the panels are joined, but before it's joined in the round, do you need two separate balls. And so only at this point is it a pain. After with the one skein that I'm doing. After I get past that point, it'll be fine. So
how much more do you have to go to
about an inch.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not terrible.
It's not. And I'm really liking, I didn't quite notice before, but this teal's got little pops of green in it.
Oh, yeah. That's really pretty.
I'm digging.
But it's not like enough to really distract.
No. It's just little pops of green in there.
I wonder if the dye broke and that's why.
Maybe. I don't know. I like it. It's a happy accident.
It's good.
But yeah, it's got the garter lace in there.
Which is super cute.
So I'm enjoying it, actually. So the Intarsia is created by wrapping the colors. You can't see that by wrapping the colors around each other when you come to it. It's not nearly. This is my first ever Intarsia project. It's not nearly as.
I have another one for you.
Terribly complicated. Uh-oh.
No, like there's this really cool sweater and someone gifted me the pattern, and it's books. Okay, down here, which is knit in the round, so that's not Intarsia, but up here it says read a book.
Aww.
And it is Intarsia.
You have to show it to me.
So I'll have to knit some Intarsia. But I think it would be a good like cat sweater for SSK. Because it's like oversized.
Yeah.
But I would actually have to knit it.
That's true. That is a thing that would have to happen.
Or get Gwen to knit it.
Yeah. Gwen's already got a long list of stuff.
I know she does.
But yeah, I'm enjoying knitting it. It is knit out of fingering weight. I think I'm knitting it on size 4s. It calls for 2.5s, but I swatched in a 4 and got the fabric that I liked. It also calls for 30 centimeters, sorry, not inches, of positive ease.
I was wondering.
Which is about 12 inches.
It's a lot still.
But I'm not doing that. I'm knitting a size that gives me 4 inches of positive ease, because the larger that you are physically, I think the less flattering a hugely oversized item
it gets to the point where it gets kind of sloppy looking.
Like tent looking.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong, like, with being a larger size, but I want...
There's ways that you can make it look more flattering on you.
Yeah. If you care about that. And if you don't, that's fine too. But I prefer something that's not quite that huge. Plus, that's a lot more knitting.
And a lot more yarn.
So, yeah. So I'm knitting, I think it's the 52 or 54 inch size. Something like that. I'm knitting the L1 size, which gives you a circumference of 52.5 inches. So it'll be much less of an oversized sweater and one that's just more relaxed fit on me, which is fine.
Yeah,
works for me.
That's a good plan. And that lace will block out too.
Yeah, and I really am enjoying the color combos. So, and I'm enjoying the process.
Good.
No complaint, really, aside from dealing with the back and forth of
the yarn.
And this is my very fancy project bag.
Great project bag. Look, we all have those projects.
Yeah. It's just, because there's so many things going on right now, once it gets into a rhythm, I'll put it in its own little proper bag. Good night.
Thank you.
Sorry,
guys. Whew. Donka.
What else?
Did you have anything else on the needles?
No.
Do you have any
I have a
finished
finished thing.
I do not have any finished. So that is all you, and then I'll talk about spin.
I'll probably I'll probably get Laura to take a picture after this is blocked and de-haired.
We'll use the Gleaner velvet tool on it.
But it is finished, but I'm actually...
should say what it is, probably.
Feel how light it is, though, for a finished sweater for me.
Oh, wow. Like, we need to get more of that yarn. I would like a sweater quantity of that yarn,
This is woolen spun. So this is Harrisville Nightshades, which
Fiber Space is carrying it now.
Ooh.
Yeah, they just put it up in their email.
It is 85% Cormo, which I love, and then 15% just other wool, and that's what they use to add color to it. So it's all this black Cormo, and then it's got flecks of color in it. Mine's got just a brown because I wanted something relatively neutral, as well as hair. You can see that in
pearl sheds everywhere.
Well, this is Leslie hair, I think. But, sorry.
I've had to stop and pick pearl hair, like long pearl hair out of the Evenstar because it was getting knit in, and I was like, no.
So sorry, it's hard to see it, but yeah, it's got just sort of a brown tint to it. You can get it with like a purple tint or yellow or orange or a red, like a campfire.
Green. There are lots of pretty shades. And that's a DK weight, correct?
It is a DK weight. This pattern calls for a worsted, so that's what I knitted in. I did a swatch.
And it came out
nicely. So it's got pockets.
I love the texture on that too.
And elbow length sleeves. And let's see if I can briefly show you guys.
Dance party. I like that shirt that you're wearing today too.
Thank you. I'll get Laura to take a picture.
Once it's blocked, it'll grow a little bit too.
For next week. But yeah, it is a little bit short at the moment. But only a little. And this is intended to be an open... I have so much stuff back here. This is intended to be an open cardigan. So, yeah, so I've got my little pockets because I'm so fancy.
Oh, it's super cute. Those are super cute.
Of course, my natural urge is to just cover myself, you know?
Yeah.
but I like it.
No, I like it open like that.
I think it's something that will get a lot of wear.
Yeah, definitely.
With it only being half sleeve, just because I tend to run hot. But
and we live in Mississippi, for those of you who are unaware.
And we don't get, like, cold snow.
65 weather here today.
Yeah, I know.
But tomorrow the high, well, the low's going to be 20 tomorrow. So we're going from 65 to 20, which is what's causing all this.
The sneezing.
Because sinuses this winter have been terrible here because we can't pick a temperature and stay at it.
Yeah.
We keep bouncing around.
So I had to tack down the collar in the back. I had to weave in a bunch of it. All the ends are woven in. I just need to block it. I don't cut my ends until after it's been
because they
blocked.
move a little bit. Oop, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing.
So I'll take this to knit night and let the ladies try it on, because we always play dress up.
We do.
And sometimes people walk away with stuff they didn't make because it looks better on them, Eloise.
Eloise was wearing, what was the name of that sweater?
Seville.
Out of the Barocco. The other day, and it looked so good on her.
Yeah, she wore it like, it's oversized, like a boxy sort of on her, like a sleeveless boxy.
Yeah, kind of like a tunic.
Well, not sleeveless, but short sleeve, yeah. But I am really happy with this, and I can't overstate how lovely it is to have a woolen spun sweater. It seems like such a little thing when you're looking at yarn, but for me, you know,
weight-wise, it's a huge
as
thing.
An example, I knit that Isolde pattern pumpkin ale, which is very similar to this. It's a slightly longer in the sleeve, and it's got cable detail, but otherwise it's a cardigan. It's got a flap front, it's got pockets, and it weighs like a pound. Like, it's heavy. And because it's a worsted spun yarn with several plies, it's
and
a DK weight.
But it does show off those cables
it
nicely,
is.
Whereas the woolen
beautiful.
would not.
Don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's very heavy. Whereas this is very, very light.
You should take that to Madrona with us, the pumpkin ale.
Yeah.
Because you'll get some wear out of it
there.
there.
Yeah, because it's in Washington, so it's very possible.
Look at that.
I'm very happy with the woolen spunness of this. Harrisville did send me this yarn to use for a review, and my review is that I freaking love it.
And we're probably going to buy more.
There's no probably about it. I did use less than I thought I would, so I've got 4 skeins almost left over. I had to wind the last skein just to finish the ribbing on a sleeve, and that was it.
You could probably get a good shawl, like a Mara shawl out of the rest
something
if you wanted.
big, yeah. So I really friggin' love it, and I'm sad that I'm done with this because now I'm done knitting it, and the yarn itself is very nice to work with. So positive, genuine thumbs up for me on the Harrisville Nightshades. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm sorry. Now I'm going to try out their other yarn, because we've tried out
Watershed?
The bulky one.
Yeah, but I thought we also got the DK.
I don't know if I've tried that one.
That's the bulky one right there.
Oh, yeah.
That gray swatch.
That's right. And I got...
What is the name of it? You got some too.
It's not Quarry, because that's the other one.
That's Brooklyn Tweed.
I can't remember. But...
Turbine.
Yeah, you're right. And I think all of theirs is woolen spun.
Here, will you hand that to me? So this is their super bulky turbine.
Laura knit that Helen Stewart shawl.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. And I
like to get more of this, though, too.
I knit Jord out of the turbine in a brown color. Apparently brown's my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice wool. I will tell you these ones, you'll want to buy an extra skein because they seem to be short.
To disappear.
Yeah, they seem to be shorter on yardage, but also it's a bulky, so you're using more. I like how you've tied knots, or I tied knots. 1, 2, 3, 4. Was this your swatch or my swatch? That's your swatch.
It's mine, but I used it's my swatch.
I swatched for that
because you had a little bit left.
That's
that
right.
color.
I was like, that's the same color as what I used.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I swatched in your color because I hadn't wound mine yet, and I use I make knots for, if it's the size 9 needle that I use, I make 9 knots.
Yeah, that's a smart way of tracking that.
I actually got that from Mel of Single Handed Knits. who got it from someone else that I can't remember.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
That's it for me. I don't have any spinning.
Oh, I have some spinning.
Yeah.
Do you have that? Okay.
All right, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be rude. I got to look at a pattern on my phone.
No, you're fine. Okay, so I have 2 finished skeins of yarn. One has been on the wheel for forever. This was on my Lundrum Saxony, and it is a bat from Classy Squid in the Wolf King colorway, and it's Shetland, Gotland, which is a longer staple, Silk Noil, and Angelina. And it was a 2-ounce bat.
That's so cool.
It was woolen spun on the Lundrum Saxony, which my Lundrum Saxony is set up in double drive. And it is 130 yards from 2 ounces. So it's pretty lightweight.
It's much sparklier than it's coming across.
Yeah, it's got hints, it's gray with hints of yellow and purple, and I find when I spin long draw to create woolen spun, sometimes I want to make sure, like, this is the silk, that purple. I try to make sure I catch some of the gray in there, because otherwise I'll get just like big chunks of silk.
Yeah.
And that's what the yellow is, a silk as well. So I try to make sure that I'm catching, and I try to make sure that the sparkle is not all in one place, but somehow it always ends up in one place.
It does what it wants.
Yep. Especially long draw. So this was spun on the Lundrum Saxony, and it's overspun. You can see that it's still got, well, it doesn't have twist. I think the singles were overspun a little bit because there's still some like crimp to them. There's some energy there. So I'm not certain what I'm going to make out of this. I might be able to do a hat or a cowl. It's not super next to skin soft. So maybe stripe it with something else for a hat. I think that might actually be a good plan, is to stripe it with something else. But yeah.
It's fun.
It is fun. It was definitely a fun experience. So that was a bat from Classy Squid in the Wolf King colorway. And 130 yards. And it was just divided, like I just tore strips off the bat. So no rhyme or reason on the dividing of the colors of the fiber on that. So that's the first thing that's done. The second is super ancient fiber, and I've lost the tag for it. So I was going through a chest and found some fiber. And shocking. I found over a pound of fiber. I found 2 pounds of fiber, actually. So I started spinning it, and some of it's on my wheel now. But I know this is from Twisted Fiber Arts, but I'm uncertain of the colorway or the fiber composition. I think it's a BFL. It's either a BFL or a Polworth. It's not a merino, because it doesn't have like that kind of chalky feel. But it might be a Polworth.
It could be. It's very soft.
It is very soft. It could be a BFL. It's not a Corriedale. But anyway, I enjoy spinning it, and this is going to be this month's Patreon prize.
Or last
month, December's Patreon prize.
Right, but it's the last
It's the last hand-spun Patreon
that
prize.
we're drawing.
It's got some really cool, like, tans, but also hints of pink. And it was spun fractally, which means I divided, because I started by dividing the fiber into thirds. I divided it in half and then 1/2 into thirds, because I was like, man, it's probably super felted. And it wasn't felted at all. It spun really, really nicely. I don't know if Twisted Fiber Arts still does fiber. They're kind of known for their self-striping yarn.
And their gradient stripe.
But yeah. I probably bought this back in 2008. And I bought a ton of fiber from them at that point. And
when
I think
we
this
were
is the
baby
last.
spinners.
Yeah. And I think they had a sale on their fiber, and that's why. But I distinctly remember teaching summer school and on my lunch break buying fiber. So it's been a while. It's 380 yards of a 2-ply. So I was quite happy with it.
Yeah, came out really pretty.
So that'll be going to Patreon. And I think we're going to draw for Patreon next week? Or do you want to do it this week?
We can do it next week.
Okay.
I don't have the sheet ready.
Okay. We'll do the last Patreon drawing next week. And then I have some, for the self-striping sock group giveaway, I have to spin for that. I have that on the wheel right now. I'm spinning some merino fiber from Apothecary that in a really pretty green combination, blue-green combination that I bought at Seth this year. So that'll be the last of those two.
I love her, and I love her colors, but she doesn't name them, and that makes me crazy.
Yeah, she doesn't name her colors, but she does have gorgeous dreads, which I kind of have dread
She's
envy.
Like, it can be whatever name you want. I'm like, no, that's not how this works.
And also, all her fibers are from the United States. She only does U.S.-based fibers, so she's got a lot of Finn, Merino, Rambouillet, some interesting stuff.
And she uses
local.
the greener shades dyes as well.
Yeah, which I always appreciate as well. So this will stay here for Patreon. Yay! I'm not super far behind on my spinning, and I'm 2 ounces into the other one, so that's not too bad. It took me a while to decide what I wanted to spin, and I'm knitting with handspun. 2 things of handspun this week.
You're on it, man.
I'm working through that stash. I'm trying to really only buy stuff because we're going to Madrona in a month. So I'm trying to be good until we get to Madrona.
Until. You like that? Until.
Well, I decided we're kind of going to maybe 5 events this year. At least I am. I can't speak for Leslie. But
it depends.
Yeah, it just depends on her schedule. But we have Madrona coming up. I would like to go to Maryland Sheep and Wool. It's my favorite.
Give or take Maryland.
And Leslie's like meh about Maryland. But it's one of my favorites.
Not because I don't like it. It's a fabulous festival, and they're amazing vendors. It's just always too hot for me, and there's too many people.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about Rhinebeck, except instead of hot, just way too many people and way too much stuff.
And that's okay. We're allowed to like different things.
Yeah. So,
Madrona, Maryland.
And then there's that new Stitches that we were talking about possibly going to, because we'll both be off. Well, I'll be off of school. It's the first week in June in Atlanta. It's been a while since we've been to Atlanta. I would like to visit Atlanta again.
Is this one of those mixed craft ones? Or
I think it's Stitches United.
So
they're
is
just
that like
moving it around.
Embroidery and...
I don't know. We'll have to look.
Okay.
I know no details about that. And then SSK.
That's non-negotiable, unfortunately.
Stop. Madrona, Maryland, maybe that Dixon one in there too for feeling adventures.
And that hardly counts because it's a one-day
it's a
thing.
local. Maybe Stitches, local. Definitely SSK. And then I'll be teaching at the Leading Men Fiber Arts Retreat, and Leslie's going to put in her name to see if she can get to go.
We'll see.
So it's all dependent on her luck in the lottery.
Yeah, they're doing their drawing, their sign-ups, basically very similar to how we do it for SSK. It's lottery sign-up.
Yeah.
And random number picks, whether or not you get in. So we'll see.
So I'm teaching there, and Gail Zucker's teaching there, and I'm super excited because I love Gail too. Like, that's going to be an amazing combo. So I'm teaching 3 classes, and she's teaching 3 classes, and you get 1 class included in the cost of the event. And so if you're looking for information on that, Steven, who's Dramatic Knits, he's got a fabulous podcast with his sister. He's running it through Leading Men Fiber Arts. So yeah,
if I can remember,
I'll
there. Put a link on the show notes so that people can see. Although that will decrease my odds.
We should have probably not talked about it until after it happened.
It's okay.
And then the week before that is actually Vicksburg. So if we decide to go back to Vicksburg,
I liked Vicksburg enough to go. I think.
I mean, it's a haul for us for a 1-day trip. It's around 3.5 hours. But we like to promote
the local events as much as we can.
And Leading Men is vending there now.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
I mean, they are really making it their life, aren't they?
Well, it's their sole occupation for both of them. Yeah. So I think you got to at that point.
So we do have a book review. Let me pull it up.
I totally messed this up.
Give me a minute to add this sucker.
It's more of a magazine review than a book review.
Yeah, sorry. always correcting me, Laura.
Well, there's that too.
Alright, let me resize this.
I live to correct you, apparently.
And
so this is Nomadic Knits. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's acting crazy.
Let's just turn that sucker off for a second. Oh, that's because I... Sigh. Alright, let's do this again. That's what happens when you just have to, like, make up technology as you go. Alright. Here we go. Now let's edit this and make it bigger!
Huh, I decided to purl across that entire row. But only on that needle. It's an interesting choice for me. Guess we'll be fixing these stitches as we come to them.
Okay.
So Nomadic Knits did a New York issue.
Yep.
And they say it's based in upstate New York. Wheezy and the Nomadic Knit people are having a disagreement about what upstate New York means.
Nomadic Knits has no idea that they're having this disagreement. But
in the intro that they talk about how
they both have a little bit about what New York means to them,
and how upstate New York is outside
basically
anything outside of New York City and
Long
Island,
right?
And Wheezy disagrees and says, so my father is originally from Buffalo, New York, and he says that Buffalo and Rochester are in western New York, and that is different from upstate New York. So I'll be interested to hear other people's opinions.
Yeah. Laura said we should debate it on the podcast, and my answer was, I have no dog in this fight, so whatever you say goes.
But anyway, this is the rural New York.
Yeah.
Which is where I was born and raised. More towards Albany, more towards where some of the fiber festivals are, like Rhinebeck.
Mm-hmm.
Is primarily the New York state of mind that this is speaking about. And the first item is a sweater.
Yeah, it's called Macintosh. And she's got these great little quotes at the beginning for every pattern. But this is just sort of a waterfall front open cardigan in garter stitch.
It's sized from up to a 52, I believe. All the sweaters in this are sized up to a 52. I think 38 to 52.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a smaller range than what we prefer, but still doable. One thing that I do not like about, this is being super nitpicky, is I like to have schematics with my patterns, and the majority of the sweaters do not have a schematic that goes with them, because I want to be able to compare the actual measurements versus to see if ease is built in, basically.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that I found a little bit disappointing, but, you know, space is always a concern with print magazines, especially.
So, yeah, this one goes up to 50, sorry, I'm trying to see. 52 inches, yeah.
From a 38, is that what that is?
God, we are too blind for this game.
32.
Yeah,
so
but
32 to 52.
It's supposed to be worn with 4 inches of positive ease, but we don't know if that's built into this number or if you would need to consider that when you create the size, because there's no schematic, like Laura said. So that is, you know, probably one of the biggest complaints. I don't want to give away the secret sauce of the book here, but that's probably really our only complaint about the book.
I agree with that.
The patterns are great, don't get me wrong. And they have some really interesting designers in here as well. As well as articles about the area. So this one...
And the history of the fiber industry in the area.
Right.
This was my favorite article in the piece.
I agree. About the density of fiber mills and wool mills in New York and that area specifically, and how many there were at one point, and it peaked around 1945, and then they started dropping off. You know, there are definitely areas that still, and that's also addressed later, there are definitely areas that still celebrate it and have tried to bring it back to the forefront. So the pattern here is Hellgate, and this references a particular bridge in the Brooklyn area, I believe. And the dyer for this is the Periwinkle Sheep, which
I've heard of before.
I have too. I don't know that I've bought any of hers, but she sounds really interesting. It talks a little bit about her as a person, this Karen Magtinchak of Albany, New York, and she's got a master's in English with a concentration in feminist critical theory. She wrote and performed poetry in addition to teaching English and German before opening a local yarn shop. And after that, she moved into dyeing. I just think that she sounds like a really interesting person. I'd love to sit down and talk with her.
All the dyers that they use, all the fiber folks, are New York dyers. Just like the Florida one was Florida producers of yarn. These are all New York. This hat is designed at multiple gauges.
Yeah, it's called the Beautifully Basic hat.
So that it's for that one skein of special yarn that you might pick up at a fiber festival. It's designed to work in all different gauges, and I think they use something like 7 different yarns.
Yeah, they've knit a lot of samples, and I'll show you a little bit of the pattern, that not the secret sauce of it or anything, but a little bit of how they do their numbers.
And this is a free pattern on Ravelry as well, so you can actually download this pattern on its own on Ravelry for free.
This article talks about the flooding that sort of devastated the area. One of the areas in it's Shorie. Let me see, Schoharie. And it talks about what the people of the area did to sort of try and do some restoration.
And there's an exclusive colorway that's being sold to help benefit that relief effort.
Yeah. I can't remember the dyer, though. Let's pull it up. Let's see.
That one. It's really pretty.
Yeah.
The Valley Rising. Is that it?
Yes. Cece's Wool Farm Store. And the colorway is the Valley Rising. So, yeah, I can always appreciate someone trying to keep the historic value. So this one is Leidenfrost.
Yeah, it's the mitts in that picture. Mm-hmm. And they're done out of a gradient yarn, which is really pretty.
Yeah, and the gradient is by, oh my goodness, Lady Llama. But yeah, you can see the pretty color of it's. There we go. It's almost
like a lace.
Yeah, it's almost rustic looking in the pattern that they've got, but with the color transition, I think it gives it a really interesting effect. So, again, that's Lady Llama
yarn, and it's Leidenfrost.
Mm-hmm.
That's
the fingerless mitts. So, I'm gonna go back, make this smaller again. And then
we have a shawl.
3 Philosophers.
Which is a 3-color shawl.
Mm-hmm. And the yarn featured in this one is Spun Right Round, who's pretty well known. She does some especially gorgeous solids, and she does some speckles that
they are really pretty.
Done super well. So
she has some nice bright colors too, like that lightning bug color that she does is really, really pretty.
Yeah. So, and this is a shawl. I'll show you a better picture later. They do give you a recipe for
New York cinnamon,
a drink that uses kombucha. So that's out for me. Just not my particular thing. I do like this sweater. It's the Seneca sweater.
Yeah.
It's made with fingering weight, but it's made with fingering weight held double.
It's Into the World, Chris and James, who we adore.
Yes. Into the World is truly an indie shop. It's Chris and James. They
also do jewelry.
Yes, she has a degree from Parsons in jewelry. Yeah. I had no idea. because jewelry is a relatively new addition to their shop.
I love my jewelry from them.
So, yeah, this is a nice, comfy, slouchy top. This one does go up to 56, but I don't know whether the ease is configured into that number or whether you need to add that in. So,
and Chris and James are some of the, like, we know them very well. They are some of the most genuinely nice people in the fiber industry.
I'm very glad they were featured in this. I dig this a lot. This cowl.
Yeah, it's got a nice big cable on it.
It's 1918.
Yeah, it refers to the women's rights movement.
And
in Seneca Falls.
The yarn is by Seventh Floor Yarn, which is it's a mother-daughter.
And they're new. They've only been dyeing for around a year, right?
Yeah, and the 7th floor is a reference to their apartment on the 7th floor, and that's where they dye their yarn at the moment. I don't know that would be sustainable long-term, but, you know, it's a cute name, and I dig it, so I'll have to check out their shop. But I love nice these big braided cables. I think it's gorgeous. Again,
it talks about how knitting can be a helpful thing to your health. There we go.
This is by Carrie Weinstein, and she talks about anxiety and depression and how knitting was essentially medicine for her, which I think is great, but I am not in the habit of advocating anything to the exclusion of medicine if you truly need it. So that's just my soapbox. I do think it's a very well written article, though, and I'm glad that it helped her. This one is the Fishkill sweater. I dig this. I really like the detail on the sleeves. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can actually see that.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to see. It's on the sleeves, the collar, and the bottom, and...
Yeah, so we've got like a garter, a broken garter rib detail.
And there's much better pictures of this on Ravelry, because the only picture really is this, and then there's an up close of maybe the sleeve detail and back. But there's actual, like, a full front-on picture. It's got almost like a funnel neck collar.
This is by Hudson. This is with Hudson Valley Sheep and Wool. And it's in the Catskills. So it comes from her farm, which I think is really interesting. So then we've got the Hudson Valley, the Textile Project.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's written by Gail Parinello, who is one of the people on the board of the project, and it's only in its second year, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with for bringing the different pieces of the textile industry together. I think it'll be a sort of a watch this space kind of thing. I think it'll bring along some interesting things. Yeah. Of course, the photography is absolutely beautiful. I love this little guy. And then we've got this cabled sweater, the Renaissance sweater, which is knit out of Hudson Valley Fibers, that's partially owned by Gail Parinello, who is the writer of that previous article that we were just talking about, the Textile Project. So this is her yarn, and it's a gorgeous sweater. I'm not certain what size it goes up to, and in cabled sweaters it's especially going to eat a lot of yarn, but it is beautiful. We've got a sort of a poem kind of thing.
Yeah, like kind of like
The Night Before Christmas.
Yes, but before a wool.
Right.
Like Rhinebeck.
I won't ruin it.
More drinks.
Yep. And then this little
shrug.
Yeah, this little shrug, which the photography is beautiful, but the item itself takes up like 2% of the picture. I think we might have been able to do a better job on that. Even in here, you can barely see it. And this is out of Art Yarns, which is known for its
higher end silk plus sparkle of some kind, whether it's sequins or beads.
Yeah. It's once you see Art Yarns skeins, you'll always know what it is in the future. It's very unique. And and then they just do standard abbreviations, and then come the patterns. So again, I'm not going to give away all the secret sauce.
And there is some closer of the shrug there.
Yeah, although it only goes up to 18 inches, and I guess that's a back measurement. Again, there's no... Yeah, okay, so there is a schematic on that one. Fishkill, that sweater that we really liked, goes up to 52 inches and tend to be worn with 2 inches of positive ease. But again, we're not sure if that's built in or not because there's no schematic. Then we've got that 1918 cowl. This is the waterfall, the Hellgate. This is the pattern I was curious about. So this goes up to 59 inches, 59 and a half. And let's see. And let's see what it says about sizing.
It's worse weight too. It's going to be heavy.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about ease. So, and it's knit in a 50% alpaca, 50% Cordale.
Huh.
That is going to be one warm sweater, my friend.
Very drapey. It's going to be very heavy.
Yeah.
Alpaca tends to be a heavy fiber too.
This I like. I couldn't tell this in the original picture. The Three Philosophers shawl with spun right round. It looks more like a cowl to me in the picture, but once I saw this, I liked it much more.
Yeah.
Again, like Laura said, the Ravelry is much better.
So there's a schematic for that.
But there's
sweater,
no numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of like listed along the side, but yeah. It's not that. They could do a better job with the schematics.
Yeah, we're just spoiled, I think, when it comes to that.
Well, that's true, too.
So, again, I'm not going to give away all the secret sauce, and this is a pattern you can download for free on Ravelry, but the numbers based on the stitch count and your gauge here will tell you how many to cast on and when to do decreases and all that sort of thing. So it's a really well overall sized hat. So
yep.
And then they give you...
It might be one that I use for some special skeins that I just want to knit in the round. It would also probably be a good one for some charity knitting.
Yeah. And they give you some design pages in the back, just to do your own sort of drawing and design sketches. And then it talks a little bit about the sponsors for the issue, and as well as the designers and who put the issue together. So yeah, there's another one of that cabled coat. So it's really pretty. There are how many sweaters?
4.
Yeah, so let's pull this up on Ravelry real quick.
There's 10 total patterns.
Yeah, so...
Now you can see us again.
Yes. Alright. Nomadic Knits, issue 2.
So 10 patterns. The overall cost is...
$14. Which is reasonable, very reasonable.
Oh, for 10 patterns, that's excellent. So if you like 2 of the patterns, basically, you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah, so there's a pair of socks.
Can you purchase the patterns separately?
A cowl, fingerless mitts, a shrug, 1, 2, 3, 4 sweaters. Let's take a look.
Nope.
Yeah, you can only buy it as a collection. But if you like 2 of the patterns, especially 2 of the sweater patterns, then that's a reasonable cost for you. So, yeah, that was Nomadic Knits, the 2nd issue, New York. They do plan on doing New York City, like the metro area issue. So, we will review that one when it comes out as well.
Well, you switched the skein word on that. That's going to drive me crazy. See how it's misspelled? Something in the show notes was misspelled, and I typed it, so it's all my fault. As per usual.
I say things that are incorrect. Laura types things that are weird. So,
and says things that are weird.
Reading. What have you been reading?
I started a new book today called The Season of Styx Malone. It is a middle grade book. It kind of reminds me a little bit of The Watsons Go to Birmingham. Kind of meets not Tuck Everlasting, Maniac McGee. So it's about these two brothers who are African American, I believe, based on the cover, and their father they live in a small town outside of Indianapolis, and their father keeps repeating over and over again how it's important for them to stay in that small town where people know them. And there's also like an overall theme of not getting too above yourself and showing that you're just like everyone else, which are big concerns for the father. But really, the younger son just wants to escape. And one day, they go to a gathering, and one of the neighborhood boys has all these fireworks, and they end up trading their baby sister for some fireworks, which their mother, who finds out that they've traded their baby sister away like 5 hours later, is not so amused by. The mom's really well written, but she never finds out, at least where I am in the book, that they traded her for fireworks.
I feel like this is something you and Matt would have done to Beck.
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat. Not necessarily for fireworks.
Right.
But they meet a strange boy who's in town, who's 16, called Six Malone. And he teaches them about he calls it, I think, elevator trades, where you trade for just like a paper clip for a pen, and then a pen so you're constantly going up, but just a little bit, until you get something that you really want. I don't know what your husband's
Michael's
doing.
banging on something in the garage.
So the narrator of this book, who's the younger brother, kind of becomes unreliable because he just idolizes Stick for his able to leave this community and more transient lifestyle, and it turns out that he's part of Styx's in foster care, and that's why he's become so transient, and just because he doesn't have roots anywhere. So it's really, really interesting, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's on the possible Newbery list for this year, and it's gotten really, really good reviews.
So it's a possible library book?
It is I got it from the public library, but I also purchased it on Amazon today from my library.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if it was one that you were, because Laura previews anything that's like possible a parent could get annoyed about.
Yeah, and I don't think a parent would get, not annoyed, but I tend to preview books before I purchase them for the library, but this just happened to be one that was available, and I can't purchase everything for my library, although this I spent my own money on. But also we teach Maniac McGee to our 6th graders, and this might be a good, more modern replacement, because books get dated over time, but also a more inclusionary. Like, our kids could see themselves, that whole mirror type things. They could definitely see themselves in some of these characters, which I don't know Maniac McGee that they could anymore. Maniac McGee is very 90s.
I've never read it, so.
Very our generation versus modern generation. Anyway, it's good so far, and I'm enjoying it. And the mother is extremely well written. She's got that mom down. And I do like the aspect of a character. I love an unreliable narrator to begin with, but a lot of times unreliable narrators kind of know that they're lying to you, like False Prince by Jennifer Nielsen or The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner. They're on purpose revealing only specific parts of information to you, but this character is unreliable just because he idolizes this other boy so much and wants to be like him. He kind of glosses over those, something's not right here, because he wants to be. And I think we all kind of had that person when we were, middle school or 5th grade age. I think the main character is like 8 or 9, that we idolized and could do no wrong. And thinking of that in terms of unreliable narrator was really interesting to me. So we'll see.
You're such a librarian.
I hear that is true.
Are you listening to anything?
I'm still listening to the 3rd Kate Daniels Magic Strikes. I'm around 6 hours in out of 10, so not too bad. Been listening to it while I've been spinning quite a bit.
Okay.
What are you doing right now?
Well, I'm knitting right now.
Well.
I'm recording a podcast.
Are you?
I'm breathing.
What are you reading right now?
So, as far as audiobooks go... Sorry, I caught a single ply of a stitch.
I totally jacked this up, and I don't know that it's worth going back 3 rows to fix.
Let me see.
On decreases.
What happened there?
That's in between my needles.
Oh.
That's a ladder, my friend.
Oh.
It'll close up when I wash it.
What's wrong with it?
It's staggered. It's not supposed to be.
Yeah, I can't tell, so.
Okay.
It's
gonna be in the top back of my head, so
yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to tell either.
So I am listening to the 5th in the Throne of Glass series. This is the same as last week. It's it's Empire Storms, which it's the boring political one. That's why it's taken me so long to get through it. Well, not boring, but
it's more world building than you like.
It's a lot more like maneuvering than I care about. So in between that, I've been listening to a podcast. I didn't put it in the show notes. I can't remember what it's called. It's a fat positive podcast. It's called Fat Girls Club. It's these 2 women in New York who talk about just being fat in the world. Like how if they wear a crop top and go out in public, people lose their minds. And just about how they've gotten to the point where it doesn't bother them anymore, and just, yeah, the experiences of these 2 people. It can be a little like, I think sometimes they forget that they're doing this for an audience, because it becomes more like stories about things they've done, almost inside jokes.
Yeah.
But overall, it's very good. And that was all like the first episodes, because I started at the beginning. So it's gotten much better. And they interview, in an upcoming episode, they interview Ashley Nell Tipton, who won Project Runway, is a plus size. I don't know if she won, or if she was just on it. But yeah, she was a plus size person, and she has her own line now of plus size garments. So I'm looking forward to that. But in between that, I'll also listen to We Are Legion, We Are Bob, which is the first in the Bobiverse. And it's definitely science fiction. There's no paranormal aspect to it at all. But it's about, and I forget what they're called, but these self-replicating...
If you say insects, we're done.
No.
Okay.
It's like a probe, like a satellite probe thing.
Because you did that weird insect thing, and I can't handle that.
And I forget what they're called. There's a name for it, but the idea is that these probes will, send them out into the universe, and they have the ability, like an onboard AI, which in this particular book is taken from a real life person named Bob.
Okay.
And they put this Bob, his consciousness, his everything, into this probe, and give him all of the tools and integrate him into the system so that he can create copies of himself.
Okay.
Make improvements. And the whole goal is to find other habitable planets.
Okay.
As well as create, like, relay stations where you can send messages back to Earth. And, of course, things go terribly wrong. But the Bob character has a sense of humor. And so...
Kind of like the robot from Hitchhikers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, like, the first copy of himself that he makes, he calls number 2. Riker.
Yeah.
From Star Trek, and it just goes on from there. And each one of them has a different personality, and the narrator, Ray Porter, does a freaking fantastic job of...
changing it, but not?
Yeah. And that's gotta be a hard thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's good, but it's definitely science fiction. There's no paranormal to it. I finished Sin and Magic by K.F. Breen. Laura finished it before me.
Apparently it was a race.
It's always a race. I always lose. When it comes to reading, I have no hope against Laura.
It was not a race.
And I read this book called Charming by Jane Washington. It's relatively new. I'm not certain if you've read it yet. You probably have, because you've read everything I've read. But, well, paranormal.
It was on Kindle Unlimited?
It was. And the concept is there's the normal world, and then there's the hollows, which is like where magic is real and whatever. Mm-hmm. And if you have magic, then you enlist in this academy, and the goal, like, you get sent on missions to make sure that fairy tales continue.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then it has catastrophic effects
as
in
it
the
should.
Human world. And so this one, very young girl gets assigned to Cinderella, which is like a huge top tier. She shouldn't have been assigned to it. Mm-hmm. Bad things happen, whatever. Anyway, I liked the book. I mean, it didn't like change my world or anything, but I liked it. So I'm trying other books by that author. I'm not sure though, because I started the Curse of the Gods series. And the first one was like Trickery.
Do you like the title, though?
I'll pull it up so you can see.
Yeah, I haven't read that.
Yeah, I'm not certain if I would recommend it at this point, so...
Does it have... So, my issue right now with Kindle Unlimited is it sounds good, and then I start reading it, and it's got a 16 to 18-year-old main character, and I don't like them.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is definitely the case in this.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like you.
It's a hierarchical society, and so, like, the best people live in the center, and then there's rings that go out, and the further you go out, the more of a dweller you are. And the top 2 dwellers from every city get to go to the big city once a year, and they become servants to, like, the, fancy people or whatever. But, yeah, the main character's very, like... 16. Very much. Very, very much.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point where I spend all day with those children, and I don't need that in my reading.
Yeah, I'm only like 15% through. I was going to give it about a third and see. Because I don't hate it yet.
It's different if they're like super strong female characters. Strong, complex female characters. But if they are super whiny, then I am pretty much done right off the bat.
Yeah. It's okay. It didn't change my life or anything so far. We'll see. What else? That's it. We do have a new craft along video that we're going to do. Last week I said it was going to be on the 12th, which was this weekend. I'm a dirty liar. I'm actually on call starting on Thursday, and that
worked out fine because I have a basketball game now on the 12th.
Oh, okay.
So from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. I'll be doing basketball.
Oh.
On a Saturday.
How many games in that 6-hour time frame?
4. Yeah. It might only be 5 hours, but yeah, it'll probably be 6.
Yeah. So we couldn't do it on the 12th, so we pushed it back to the 20th, which is a Sunday, 20th of January, 2019. I made sure that there was no Steelers game. Apparently they're done for the season. Yeah, I didn't realize that, but I was like, I gotta make sure there's no Steelers game.
And it's not Super Bowl yet. Yeah. At that point. So you're good.
I did check.
You're so funny.
So that will be on the 20th. The time is open for you guys to vote on. Right now, the winning time is 5 p.m., but it's only winning by 1 vote over noon. So if you have a strong feeling one way or the other, please go out and vote. We're going to do dog cookies because that seems like a pretty fail-proof thing. And my dog will eat anything, so...
Pro won't.
Yeah, so we're going to do dog cookies. So if you have, like, a favorite thing, like if you make dog cookies and you have a favorite recipe, send it to us. And then, let's see what else. Oh, we have that giveaway from Irina and Akiva for the Nautical. So...
Was it Nautical Knits? Yes?
It's just Nautical.
Okay.
So let me pull up the window.
Oh, do you need me to get my phone out?
That'd be great.
Do random.org. Yeah, give me 1 second.
Alright, let's make this bigger. Okie dokie. So, this was for Nautical Knits. You're right, it was Nautical Knits. I'm a total dirty liar.
I remembered something.
And the prompt was, what design of Irina and Akiva's did you like the best? And this one had, I believe, 197 posts, but let me go down all the way to the bottom and just make sure. Yep, 197 posts. So we're going to pull 2 winners. One winner gets the whole book, and one winner gets one pattern of their choice. Okay. So we need a number between...
Oh, look, you marked it as no chat. Look at you. I did. That's a cool new feature.
Between 2 and 197, please.
It is going to be 38.
They can't see that.
Oh, they can't see that. It's 38.
So that's
you can trust me.
Going to be on the second page. 38.
Very trustworthy.
Don't know about that. Alright, so 38 is K. Olson 111322. Alafair Beret is her favorite. So, congratulations, K. Olson. I'm going to mark you as winner ebook. And then we have one more person who is going to win a single pattern of their choice.
So I'm going to generate that, and it's going to be 165.
Cool. So that's going to be second to the last page. $165. And this is by Dr. Farwell. And she says the opulent stole is beautiful and her favorite so far.
Oh,
so
cool.
Congratulations, Dr. Farwell. We're going to make a note here. And single pattern winner. And I will get your names over to Irina so that she can send you your gift. And thank you for participating in our giveaway. I feel like we should have like balloons and stuff.
Man, just dropping from the sky. That would be amazing.
That's one more friggin' thing I need here.
Some glitter.
Yeah.
Some confetti.
Let's see.
So we'll draw for the self-striping knit along
and the Patreon.
Last Patreon next week.
Mm-hmm.
Next time.
Giveaway.
I'm trying to think. And we'll see you all at Madrona. If you're going to be at Madrona, we're taking a class with Clemis and Clemis all day. I think it's Saturday.
I think so too.
But we're flying in Friday or Thursday
night.
And we'll be at the market Friday probably.
Yeah.
And then we're flying back out Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Sunday's going to be a long day, but that's okay. Thursday's going to be a long day too.
It's a lot of flying.
But I get to meet Laura's grandma.
She does.
I've never met her. I've met most of her family.
You might get to meet my youngest aunt as well. Maybe a cousin.
Yeah, cool.
We'll see. We'll see what people are up to.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, you've never met my youngest aunt either.
I don't think
Chris. So. You've never met... You've met Lucinda, and that was it, I think.
Well, I met...
You met Mary.
Yeah,
that's on my father's side.
Yeah, that's your dad's sister. Okay.
Yeah.
Her grandma is her mom's mom.
Yep. That's true. They look a lot alike. They act a lot alike, too.
You're going to be that in 20
Spoiler,
years.
I know.
Just wait.
Someone told me today that I looked a lot like my mom, and I was like, this is a true statement.
Although you look more like your brother. Like you and your brother have the same face shape.
I think Beck and I look a lot alike.
You do.
I don't know. For 5 years difference.
I wish Beck could come to SSK.
She's going to try.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, I hope she does. We're working with Beck on a possible goodie bag item.
That's exciting, too.
So that's going to be cool.
And it just depends on work schedule.
Yeah. Okay, we're just babbling now. We're almost at an hour and a half, so...
Oh, my.
I know. So we're going to say goodbye. We hope you guys have a lovely week, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.